When I turned 40, that was when my biggest success happened. I worked free 90% of my life.
But let's get into some social media, some digital business kind of vibes. And once again, shout out to Earn Your Leisure. They have been killing it this year. I love what Moose says about this. This is just their time. And the interviews they come out with is just amazing. It's just amazing. And the recent one they came out with is DJ Khaled. And he said something, and I like bringing back the simple stuff because we kind of pass the simple stuff and think that we need a complicated system. But how Khaled rised up and got so many deals and became the figure he is, not downplaying his music or anything, but clearly his influence and how we see him and even his sayings is because of social media. And it is because he showed up on a consistent basis and was very authentic. So we got a clip from that Earn Your Leisure podcast as far as what he advice to other businesses and influencers on how to deal with social media.
We're supposed to use our social media because it's really a free commercial for your business. If you have a restaurant and the food is good, people are gonna come back. And if you promote it on your Instagram and the word get out that food is good, it's only gonna build. If you put out greatness, you're gonna get greatness back. And sometimes it don't happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight for me. Quincy Jones didn't make Thriller till he was 50 years old. He made Thriller when he was 50. Me, when I turned 40, that was when my biggest success happened. I worked free 90% of my life.
Go ahead, Moose.
Wow. Yeah, no, there's so many kind of principles and gems tied up in that. Of course, just to start with the easiest one, or where he closed off, the fact that, he says, I work free 90% of my life. And I listened to that interview and I was kind of like texting you about it quite a bit because I took a lot away from it, right? And when he says that, I think people underestimate how much he was investing back into himself. Because to add to some context to what he was saying there, it's like he was making money, but he was using a lot of that money to continue to market himself.
Yeah.
So it was kind of just a reminder, like, for some of us, again, naturally introverted who might not feel as comfortable putting their name out there or telling people about what they do, he's telling you probably the easiest function of social media today, which is to let people know about your greatness and your business. Not saying overstep and overdo it and go crazy with it, but that is what social media is today. And I've spoken with some people who are a little upset. It's like, nah, but you don't understand, when Instagram first came out, it was just about sharing pictures and cool moments, and it's not what it used to be. But again, that's where we have to challenge ourselves to really upgrade our mentality. Do we want to live in the dinosaur age? It's like saying, oh, I don't want to drive a car because when I was around, we were using horses. It's like, okay, but it's a different time. It's a different era. You got to upgrade your mentality. So I think this is a good reminder, especially for those who tend to fight off social media a little bit, to just see like this is what the platforms are used as today, right? It's to spread hope and positivity and inspiration, share your business and all these different things. So I like that he's just kind of sharing that, like, yo, that's what it is today. And that's how we should be using it.
Yeah. My takeaways on it is kind of two parts, right? So from the first one, it's really, like I said, going back to the basics. If your stuff is good, it's going to work. You just got to put it out there. So I like how he used in the interview kind of an example of a restaurant. If your food is good and you put it out on social media, people are going to come. Like, you get testimonials, you show the food. We can't assume you're there. We can't assume that the food is good if you don't put anything out. Like, we wouldn't have known of a Khaled if he never jumped on Snapchat and be his true authentic self. We wouldn't have known half of these influencers, half of these brands, if they didn't put it out on social media and blow up the way they did. Now, with Khaled, we know he was DJing, he was a radio host, he was putting out albums before Snapchat, before social media. We know this, but we connected with him more when he showed himself, and he kept showing what he was doing. He showed the albums, the process of making them. He showed his lifestyle. He showed things that he wanted to. So you got to know him and connect with him. He didn't rely on record labels. He didn't rely on anything else to do it for him. He said, this is pretty much a free commercial. I'm going to speak every single day about what I'm doing, regardless if I'm in the studio or not, regardless if I'm with my rich friends or not. Yes, they're rich. They're all rich. Whatever it is, I'm going to put it out there, because if it's good and I connect with people, they're going to keep watching, and they're going to buy or stream or come to my events. And it's just as being simple as, I'm going to just show up and be me. Now, the second part that I really enjoyed was him putting that it's not an overnight situation, and I worked 90% of my life for free. Now, there's a few ways I'm looking at this, but if we think about old school ways of giving out our products and services for free to people just to get a buzz going, I think social media is the new way of working for free. You're giving out information every single day that maybe before or at a certain point of your brand, people will have to pay for, right? This is going to be what Khaled's 90% was. Social media is going to be your 90%, where every single day you're making sure you give something for free to your audience. Why? Because the serving mentality of giving out what you love, giving out what you're a master of, is going to build connection and allow people to truly see what it is, besides putting the credit card in first and experiencing it then, and possibly having a bad experience, right? We've covered it with, with ET, right? Where there's other people who would say a little bit and say, all right, go buy this for $19.99, right? And E would just go on YouTube and give it all away, in which it build the community that he has. Khaled has taken that same model and gave it all away as far as what it really takes to be in this culture, what it really takes to be in this industry. And he gave it all away, played music before it should have been, heard, gave it all away. And now he's seen the rewards from it. Now he's getting brand deals. Now he's getting other platforms to call him and be like, hey, can you be the brand ambassador? Can you be a partner? Can you be a co-founder of these things? In the interview, and Moose wanted me to clip this part out too, but in the interview, he talked about the early days of Snapchat. And this is the downfall about social media, because we don't own these platforms. But we give ourselves to these platforms. We have success. We're keeping users on their platforms or bringing users to their platforms. And when he went to the head of Snapchat, like, hey, what we doing? They never worked with Khaled. They never worked with Khaled. Now, some would be like, that's wild. But at the end of the day, Khaled still understood how to leverage social media. So you may not want to work with me. That's cool. Almond Milk wants to work with me. I'm having a partnership with Dolce & Gabbana. I'm now coming out with ghost kitchens of another wing, right? All because of what I did on your particular platform. I leverage free. So the lesson with all of this from my end is, do you understand how to leverage free? Do you understand that social media is not just a task, but it is a tool to get your business, get your brand, get yourself out there for free in order for your real opportunities to come in?
Well, that's a bar. That's a bar.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's good. Social media is not a task. It is a tool. That's a bar. That's a bar. I love that. I love that.
But Moose, from like I said, that interview was fire, and there was other bars from it. But what was your biggest, and what I love about our podcast is that we literally promote other people's podcasts and content.
Right.
We really do.
Much.
But we do that because we really actually love the content ourselves, right? So what was another, I said my Snapchat bar, but what was another thing that you got from the interview?
Yeah, no, towards the very end, man, he said something so powerful, because I think everyone, especially of our era and our generation, is big on this concept of ownership. So I think the guys were asking him about, owning his masters and things like that, and how they were inspired by Nipsey to kind of follow through on that same concept. And his response to that was, yeah, by all means, own your masters, but make sure that your masters are worth something. And I was like, that's powerful, because that's true. You can 100% own everything that you have, but dismiss opportunities to collaborate and partner with someone, maybe even give a little bit of equity or share equity, but add more value. So it's that same concept of 100% of zero is zero, but 10% of a million is still a little bit more than that. So it really just, it's refreshing to be like, okay, yep, ownership is still the goal, but value is just as important as ownership.
Yeah, and I love that you brought this up, because, and I don't want the audience to get caught up in masters and music talk. Think of it as your brand. Like, you own your brand. You own different aspects of your brand. And if you're not really putting in the work, it may not be worth anything. So for you to say, yo, I own my brand, and you didn't take the opportunity to partner to scale it, opportunities to collaborate with certain people to bring extra value to it. Oh, because relationships bring value as well. Oh, this person, they wear this, they've rocked this. Okay, that actually brings value to it. If you're not adding value to your brand, and it's not just on a money standpoint, you can't sell it. You can't. You hear these deals where certain businesses are sold for millions of dollars, and you're like, okay, I could create something like that. Well, can you? What have you done to create that value for people to even consider paying for your brand? So it's the same concept of masters of, you can own something, but is it really worth anything?
Yeah. That's a big part. And I think a lot of us, we catch on to something. It's what we've talked about, like titles that become super attractive. It's like when entrepreneurship was on the rise, everyone was fighting to be an entrepreneur. But what if you were making money at a 9-to-5, or we started disrespecting 9-to-5s because entrepreneurship was deemed as more popular? And it's this type of perspective that allows us to kind of weigh things in more of a balanced purview and say, okay, hold up. Okay, I understand that that's the goal,
Right.
but this is an important ingredient to tie to the goal, or I can accomplish it and it not be worth anything. So yeah, no, I love that part of it as well.
Yeah, shout out to Khaled. Earn your leisure, guys. Y'all killed that interview.